Hi everyone, welcome to John's Briefs with Tim Forshey, who knows a thing or two about the law because he's seen a thing or two. Today, here at C2 Tactical in Scottsdale, again, grateful to them for their help. We had one on the channel not too long ago, a case that, wow, I said was murder, out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. And we'll put a link to it in the description. In particular, in that case, the defendant drew his gun and fired a warning shot after a conversation. Then the person who he fired a warning shot at turned around and started going back to his car. The defendant then took that as a threat that he was going to go get a gun and shot him 3 times in the back. Or at least that was his stated reason, that he said he was going back to his car. I didn't know if he had a gun there, so I shot him to defend my life.
Boy.
That got him sent to jail, prosecuted. It's going to get him prosecuted a second time because they hung on murder 2 charges. 10-2 in favor of conviction. So I wanted to talk to Tim about the warning shots. Part of that, we might have talked about warning shots at some point on the channel, but it's worth a refresher.
To win the fight after the fight, you need help. After a use of force, I trust Firearms Legal Protection to help me win the fight for the rest of my life. From their 24/7 attorney-answered hotline to coverage for the use of all legal tools, Firearms Legal Protection has you covered. Get a discount by signing up at the link below.
So Tim, warning shots.
Warning shots.
How you like them apples?
I like them apples. I always tell people that the law is gray, right? And lawyers appreciate that, paralegals appreciate that, judges appreciate that. Non-legal people don't appreciate that. They're like, okay, just stop hemming and hawing and give me an answer. I'm not hemming and hawing. There isn't an answer. I would have never thought Kyle Rittenhouse should have been prosecuted. I was wrong. He got prosecuted.
Yeah.
So the law is the practice of law, the practice of medicine. It means I'm learning stuff every day, and something that worked this way this time didn't work the next time. So it is always amorphous and gray, with very few exceptions. I always say that, to my knowledge, there are 5 black and white exceptions in the arena of self-defense law, right? The first one is you never ever shoot to kill. We were all taught that when we were kids. If you're shooting to kill, that's murder. If your intent is to kill someone, that's murder. Murder's never defensible. Murder's a crime, you're going to go to prison. So you never shoot to kill. The second black and white is the flip side of that coin. You always shoot to stop the threat, right? The next one is you never shoot to wound. Handguns obviously have a high rate of a high likelihood of producing merely wounds. They're fatal only, I believe, about 10% of the time. So it's very likely that if you shoot somebody and it's justified that they'll survive wounded. That's not what I'm talking about. If you shoot somebody with the intention of merely wounding them, then by definition you weren't in fear for your life and you fired a shot, which means it was illegal. Next, you can never use lethal force to defend property only. Of course, a pure property only crime can actually be kind of rare, because just because they broke into your house and steal stuff doesn't mean they will eliminate witnesses. Is that a property only crime? No. How about a beer run where they grab 2 cases of beer and take off out the door and you chase them out in the parking lot and shoot them? I would say in every state in the US and in most countries in the world, that would be illegal. You can't use lethal force to defend merely property. The last one, I saved the 5th one for last, is warning shots, black and white. You can never legally fire a warning shot. In Hollywood, they love it. It adds drama. They, drop the knife, boom, boom, I'm serious. That's 2 felonies, right? Joe Biden told us just fire that shotgun in the air
2
twice.
shots in the air.
Those are 2 felonies. It's illegal, and here's why. Is it lethal force? If I fire a round into the air in a dense, urban populated metropolis, is that lethal force? Yeah. Ask Shannon Smith, in Arizona.
Shannon's
a famous
Law
young lady
in
named
Arizona.
Shannon Smith. We have a law called Shannon's Law named after her. She's just sitting in her backyard talking on the phone to a buddy of hers, and a 9mm round that's mostly spent, but not spent, comes arcing through the night sky, hits her in the head, and she dies the next morning on the operating table, right? So it's deadly force. When can you use deadly force? When you're in fear for your life. Yep. If you're in fear for your life, do you fire a warning shot? No. If you fired a warning shot, you're in fear for becoming in fear for your life. By definition, warning shots are always illegal. They're never appropriate. So
now, as far as I know, the state of Florida is the only state that I'm aware of that actually enacted legislation to make a warning shot legal.
I think that's a real scary Pandora's box.
I believe it's, let's be honest, much of what goes on in Florida is a real scary Pandora's box.
That's a whole other story, isn't it? Florida man exists for a reason. But if you're saying it's legal to fire warning shots, and I'm standing in front of an apartment complex and a guy's doing something I don't like, I can just fire a shot, call it a warning shot, it goes into an apartment and kills a little kid. I mean, you're encouraging people to have frivolous, wildly aimed shots. To me, that's the epitome of negligence.
Yeah,
right?
I think they had they had a case of a woman who was had a domestic incident. Guy tore out of her really bad. Said he was going to kill her. She pulls a gun out. And she said she fired it into the ground because she didn't want to actually shoot him because, he's her baby daddy or whatever. And then he backed off and all that stuff. Well, then she got prosecuted for it. I think that offended some people's sense of justice. Like, wait a minute, you know,
I mean, I sympathize with that situation, but what she didn't really want to shoot him because he was her baby daddy. I don't think anybody, I hope, unless you're a sociopath, I hope nobody ever wants to shoot anybody.
Right.
It is not want to or can I, it is you must. If you do not, then you will die. If she didn't die, that means that she had an alternative that worked out. So I don't know. I think it opens a really scary Pandora's box to say warning shots are okay. I think that they're illegal for a reason. I think that if you're in fear for your life, you're not going to fire a warning shot. You're going to fire a shot to stop the threat.
So other than Floridians, and even in Florida, you better be darn careful with that.
Yeah.
Everywhere else in these fine United States, if you fire a warning shot, you have committed aggravated assault.
Not to give all war stories, but my favorite warning shot was a client of mine, gosh, this is probably 20 years ago. He was a bouncer at a strip joint in Scottsdale. And there aren't many, so you can probably figure out where that was.
We violated all the rules.
There you go.
Stupid.
I mean, and this particular strip joint thought it was a good idea to arm their bouncers. I was a bouncer for many years, certainly wasn't armed, and I'm very glad of that. Anyway, some guys were messing around with the dancers and had to be ejected. And they were appropriately asked to leave, and they were escorted down the stairs from this strip joint. And they tried to force their way back in. And the guys, the bouncers also had pepper spray. They had OC, and they gave them a good dose of the pepper. And I think 3 of the 4 guys decided that they had enough of that, and they left bacon on the stove, and they decided to make tracks. The other guy goes out to his car. He didn't get a full face full, apparently. Gets a shotgun out of his car and starts coming back up the stairs with a shotgun. My client draws his weapon, completely appropriately justified.
Yeah.
And there's a big pile of rubble in the parking lot. They're remodeling the parking lot. They've got a bulldozer. They've torn up all the old asphalt. There's a big pile of rubble. And he fires 2 warning shots into the rubble. And they work. The guy decides maybe he picked the wrong guy to have a gunfight with, and he takes off running as well. And that guy got arrested. The guy with the shotgun got arrested. But then the police are questioning my client. And my client had never taken any appropriate classes and was an idiot. And my client's telling the story to the cop, which John and I would both tell you you don't do that.
Dumb.
You give some very, very, very few details. And in telling the story, he goes, and then I fired 2 warning shots into the rubble over there. And the cop, God bless him, and I talked to him later, the cop stopped writing, stopped taking notes, and said, you mean the guy that was coming up the stairs with a shotgun, you were in fear for your life, and you fired 2 shots to stop him, and they went wide right, and I'm going to find bullets over there in that debris? And the guy goes, no, I fired 2 warning shots into the rubble over there. Cop starts writing again and arrested my client for several, I think it was endangerment and disorderly conduct with a firearm. We didn't have Shannon's Law back then, but it was like, what in the hell, A, were you doing, and B, telling a cop about it? I mean, there's so much ignorance about this out there, again, largely because of Hollywood. Well, gosh, they did it on the Dukes of Hazzard all the time, you know, so.
Yeah, and some people, every once in a while, somebody will complain when we do a video like this and like, well, why didn't you show the video in there? Guys, the link's in the description. Like, if you need a refresher on which video this is from the main channel, just hit the link in the description. And it'll take you right there rather than add 10 minutes to the length of this video, okay? And in that particular video, we don't know what the context of their argument was because they argued for about 3 minutes in front of the car and we didn't get any sound for that. Then he pulls the gun, backs up a step or 2, fires a warning shot. That turns the guy and heads back towards his car. At which time, our intrepid firearms carrier shoots him 3 times, twice in the back and once in the arm. He said, well, you know, he was going to his car to get a gun. And, well, wait a minute.
He may have been. Would he have been justified? Yeah, the guy just fired a shot.
Yeah.
I'm in fear of my life. This guy's firing at me.
And
Absolutely.
What would you expect him to do when you discharge a firearm in his vicinity? And
no matter what, in Arizona, I won't speak for every other state, but in Arizona, no matter what, that would be indefensible because if nothing else, we know he started the fight when he fired that shot. And there weren't blows being thrown or you didn't see any other weapons. I think you lose the right to claim self-defense when you start the fight. So you can regain the right to reclaim self-defense if you de-escalate and walk away and apologize. Now it starts back from scratch. But if you start the fight and it's still the same fight going on, you lose the right to claim self-defense. So with those facts, that guy should be eating bad food twice a day in the Gray Bar Hotel for quite some time. So.
Yeah, he gets to live all expenses paid in a gated community.
And who's paying it?
Yeah,
there you go.
The city and the state.
And us.
The people are paying for his time in a gated community.
Yep.
And guys, hear me. Again, warning shots. Tactically stupid idea because that decreases your capacity, and we're all capacity limited on our firearms. It endangers innocence because where's that bullet going to stop? It gives away the element of, am I willing to use this gun? Yes, but it gets you in legal trouble.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
It's tactically stupid. It's legally stupid. Tell me how it's not stupid in any respect, and I'll listen. It's not. It's always stupid. Don't do it. Don't even think about it. Take it out of your bag of tricks.
There it is. It's stupid. It's always stupid. Don't even think about it. Take it out of your bag of
There's
tricks.
good legal advice. Yeah, none of that was Latin, John. It doesn't sound impressive at all. I mean,
And did you notice there was no "it depends" there?
yeah, that one doesn't.
The attorney did not say it depends.
Because again, I think that's one of the very few black and whites. Yeah.
Don't do it. Warning shots. Tim,
That's
thanks,
simple.
man.
Always, buddy. Always.